course, the car never would start, so it had a battery charger on it, and the hood was up. And she had just jumped and saw the plane flip, and she jumped in, and he said, "Here comes the car, across the field with the hood going like this, and the battery charger cable was flying out." And she tried to see if these guys were alive or not. But Alan also told me, he said, well, of course, he said, I didn't know anything about flight regulations or anything, but right away he called John, and John came over with a flatbed, and they put the plane on there and took it off and put it in a Quonset someplace. And one of the struts was bent, and he said it wasn't bent, but it doubled in. And he said Dave was so ingenious. He figured out what he did was he on that strut, it must have been sealed on both ends. He put an air nipple in there, and then while Alan put air in, he heated that place and heated it so that the air pushed that back out, and you never have known that strut had been damaged. He said, I never ever would have thought of, using air and heat to bring that out. That's just one of Dave's unique ways of
Well, he was innovative.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
In John was here, or tell this story, he and Uncle Dave both bought planes, and so they, really good. But one day, Uncle Dave told him that he was up on the top of a tower, building it or something, and the wind was really blowing, and he said, "Look, no hands."
Oh, that was Alan Buchanan's story too.
What's that? Yeah.
Alan
And
Buchanan.
he just let go, and the wind blew him up.
Alan was in the tower actually. This happened in Lethbridge, and one of the first towers that Alan said he climbed with Dave. And the wind was blowing so constant that Alan was inside the tower, and he noticed his hard hat kept coming off. So he said he taped his hard hat and he kept painting. But when he came back to get his hard hat, he was inside the tower and he leaned west, and the wind was so strong it held him up. And so he untaped his hard hat, put it on, and Uncle Dave came down the outside of the tower, and he says, "Hey Dave, look what the wind will do." And Uncle Dave's on the outside of the tower, and he lets go of the tower, and he leans back and says, "Oh yeah." and then he grabbed the tower and he went on down, and Alan said, I got down and I chewed him out. I said, if the wind would have gusted, you would have cut my hands off. You got me off the tower. And Dave didn't even know he'd done anything different, because he just leaned back and let the wind hold him up there for a bit. And Alan told me many, many stories. Okay, thank you.